Hello, it's Brian again. Welcome to clip number 2. I am standing very sweaty under this beautiful Aleppo pine. It's one of the many non-native trees and plants growing in this area, in this little canyon. And of course, Eucalyptus Polyanthemose, the blue box, or silver dollar gum. So again, I'm in this canyon. The high school, Clairemont High School, is right over here. Of course, I'm just poking around just trying to see what this canyon looks like after 27 and a half years of me not visiting it. Well, like I said in the first video, it's quite sad the degradation of the area. I do not remember there being a lot of trash and debris as a kid, but back then I might not have been paying attention to it. So as a kid, I don't know, maybe my mind was in a different spot. But here's another non-native plant that makes its way occasionally. This is called Jade Plant. Believe it or not, this is in the same family as the Dudleya. This is Crassula argentea. This is the jade plant. Very common ornamental plant here in Southern California, and it's very effective at establishing colonies. And this plant will do so by vegetative spreading. What I mean by that is that these plants will lose a stem, a branch, or even a leaf, and a new plant will take root. What happens is leaves will fall off or twigs will break off, you see here, and what will happen is the leaf or the twig will take root in the soil. And being that this is a succulent shrub, it's quite drought tolerant. Now, under very dry circumstances, the plant will further adapt itself by letting its leaves shrivel. As you can see, we're in a really dry time right now. It's late June in a drought year with a very poor rainy season again. And you'll see here, the leaves kind of have a wrinkly texture to them. That's them being dehydrated. What they'll do is they'll allow themselves to be dehydrated and conserve their lives by allowing this and being able to tolerate being dehydrated as such. You can see here, and again, this is another one that's spread by the branches of the plant breaking off, or even just leaves. I've been able to do this before as a kid, is take a leaf off of a jade plant, stick it in the dirt, maybe wait a few weeks, and it should take root and grow its own plant. So I forget where they're native to. I don't know where they're native to, but I pointed out the Dudleya species in the first clip. They are in the same family, the Crassulaceae. In fact, Crassula argentea. So that's the family sake name of the Crassulaceae, is the genus Crassula. And of course, we occasionally get eucalyptus trees also establishing down here. As you can see here, this is a young Eucalyptus Polyanthemose. It's kind of hard to see the color of the sun, but there's a small juvenile from this tree here. And then of course, Eucalyptus comodolensis, the river red gum, is also another tree that grows and naturalizes here in Southern California's low elevations. You can see we have another young eucalyptus tree right over there. And of course, we got mesons here too, ice plants. I think this is Carpobrodus edulis. I think because one of them, Carpobrodus, or at least two Carpobrodus species, we call them ice plants or Hottentot figs. They naturalize quite readily as well. They were brought here to control erosion on some of our slopes here in the coast and slightly inland areas. And one species of Carpobrodus has three-sided leaves like this one, and I think this is Carpobrodus edulis, and there's also chilensis. One of them has three-sided leaves and one of them has more or less tubular leaves. And I think this is chilensis, but I'll have to double check. I can look it up really quickly. It's pretty easy. And what happens is it has these stoloniferous branches. In other words, branches that creep along the ground and will take root wherever it can. And that's how this plant spreads and also invades wildlands as well. So you can see that a lot of our non-native plants have very effective means of reproduction and invasion, and it does take land away from our natives. And even sometimes Aleppo pines can establish themselves locally as well. I have seen a lot of times where you'll see stands of these trees that are planted, and sometimes you will find saplings of these trees around too. So occasionally even Aleppo pines can naturalize, but I wouldn't say they're highly invasive. Not highly invasive, but they do have the potential to become slightly invasive. But as we know, these local suburban and urban canyons have been long known for a mixture of native and non-native vegetation kind of coexisting somewhat. But these trees do sometimes get naturalized in these, especially these canyons with north-facing exposures. Like this is the north-facing slope right here. So sometimes you will get a little naturalization. And I was mentioning about the Brazilian pepper tree down there, that bright green tree. A lot of times they start out as real thicket-forming shrubs, but they can become small trees with age. They can be quite the establishing species in these canyons. They love to grow near where there's water. I think they prefer more water than the Peruvian pepper tree, which is the other species found here that occasionally naturalizes. And those have the drooping branches that kind of have a willowy, delicate appearance, but they're very drought hardy. The Brazilian pepper trees, prefer to live near areas with moisture, and they will establish in these canyons quite voraciously. I see another one beyond this one over there. I think that's a woodland cicada making that buzzing sound. I hear that all the time out here. Yes, Brazilian pepper trees love to grow in canyons and drainages, especially where there's either a north-facing deep canyon cleft, where there might be some underground water, or near where there are creeks and water features that are above ground. So they will regenerate from both seeds, very easily from seed, and also from root suckers, aka root shoots. So they will send up new root shoots periodically, and they will become their own thickets with time. So a lot of our non-native canyon plants here have extremely effective ways of regenerating and colonizing. With these here, the acacias I was talking about, or the wattles, again, they are also very wide-spreading, low thicket-forming shrubs that are very effective at spreading, probably by branches and root suckers as well, I believe. As you can see, this plant has come from here all the way down to near the bottom of the canyon, and they're also very effective at regenerating as well, probably both from seeds and root shoots. Now, the Canary Island pines seem to be the least likely to naturalize. They do occasionally pop up here and there, but the Canary Island pines, Pinus canariensis, tend to kind of, for the most part, stay in bounds, stay in line, I guess. But We also got our native Torrey pine right here. We have a few species of it in the area. That's Pinus torreana. These we don't mind spreading like wildfire, though they probably won't, especially in these drought conditions. But we do get some Torrey pines around here that were planted decades ago and seem to do very well right next to crazy Balboa Avenue. So when I came in originally, I entered right by where the fence started, because there's a trail, a little path leading in here. Let's see if I can go up here. And we do have some toyons in the area too. We do have native toyons. Heteromeles arbudifolia. Here's another Eucalyptus Polyanthemose. Right here. Again, those eucalyptus trees do reproduce quite voraciously from seed from time to time, especially when the climate conditions are right. Now, one plant that is native but also spreads voraciously by seeds, Baccharis cerathrioides, broom Baccharis. Now they're very voracious reproducers as well, but they're natives. So these germinating and coming up and taking over, it's just a part of the natural process of natives reclaiming the land. See, it's not a really steep, not a really deep canyon, but it is pretty steep and pretty rugged. So come up here. As I said, you might be put off by the amount of garbage and refuse down here, and so I would also recommend, if you were to come visit one of these little spots, just be aware of your surroundings. There are some hazards that are definitely possible, especially if you come across a homeless person, which luckily I have not yet. The homeless person might not take too kindly to somebody walking around, especially when they set up camp. B, rattlesnakes are definitely a possibility, especially in this very warm weather. So be aware that that could be a possibility. There could be poison oak down there. I don't know. I'm probably not going to go super far in there, especially if there are some occupied encampments down there. I really don't want to have an aggressive encounter with somebody who might not take too kindly to me poking around here. So, but just wanted to take some time to show you some of the ecological aspects of these urban canyons that seem to have somewhat of a peaceful coexistence between native and non-native and even potentially invasive species growing side by side, which has become the case in a lot of these areas. So I guess I do apologize for the amount of trash that's over here, but even in certain areas, sometimes the more circumspect things at hand can be things to appreciate, like some of the tenacity of both the natives and non-native plants growing here. So again, I don't think this canyon has an official name. I've tried looking it up on the topo maps and I didn't see any name for it, but I suspect it might be related to Teculote Canyon, which is just up and over Clairemont Drive, which is a short distance down that way. Again, this is Balboa Avenue, cutting down towards the Mission Beach and areas like that. So these are probably geographically related. These little ravines are probably to Teculote Canyon. But again, if you do decide to check out one of these little urban spots, you will find some pretty neat little tidbits. Might find some cool reptiles. You might find some really cool plants, or you probably will find something cool, but just also be aware that it's also been very much used by the homeless populations here. So that's going to do it for this little canyon. Again, thanks for watching my set. Hope you found the stuff I pointed out, the plants and stuff that I pointed out, to soften the blow of this very littered canyon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on another adventure video.